Hello fellow Gothamites, welcome back to my channel. It's Batman miniature game time again, and today we're gonna try out the new Riddler cards. That means today we're gonna see the Riddler crew against the League of Assassins. Disclaimer for today: after we took a quick glance at the new Riddler cards, we noticed that the rules are quite fiddly, and combined with the millions of special rules for the Riddler characters, this caused my opponent a real headache, so we suffered just for you to enjoy this battle report. Also, disclaimer part 2, the new Riddler cards are still work in progress by Night Models, so keep that in mind, will ya? We already set up the game board and will soon be drawing the missions for today. We will be playing without plot cards because we want to keep things simple. But now, without further ado, let's take a look at the crews for today. My opponent's crew consists of the Riddler and his gang from the Quizmaster's Bat Box, which is still playable with 350 rep in 3rd edition. He also equipped the Riddler with a level up ability and 2 guys with a drop a riddle ability. The League of Assassins, today led by the master Ras al Ghul himself. He's leading a bunch of ninjas. I equipped the big guy and the katana guy with ancient weapons to cause some bleed damage. Also, the guy with the falcon got climbing claws. The mission for today is Chance Encounter. Nothing special, just splitting the crews in 2 groups and position one in front and one in the back. The event for this mission is Gotham in Flames, where a fire counter starts in the middle of the board and can be moved by the player who lost initiative. The flames cause burn damage and emit light. So setup is done, and let's take a look at the positioning of the Riddler crew. So the 2 ladies on their own. The main part of the Riddler crew is bunched together almost in the center. Riddler protected by his trusty Irish guy. And he also used his level up ability to put 2 suspect markers with counters already on the board. And the little guy with a backpack is also placed. The assassins positioned close to each other. Ras al Ghul with his bodyguard Goro, and quite far in the back the range guy, another ninja, and I used the hidden deployment for this guy. Maybe he can ambush somebody. The flame marker for the Gotham in Flames event starts right in the middle. Initiative round 1 for me, it's a 6 plus 1 for Mastermind. Riddler, it's the same, so let's reroll it again. I have a 3 in total and Riddler beats me and starts the game. I lost the initiative, so that means I can move the flame marker in anywhere I want. 2d6, that's 4 inches, and right there. Closer to Riddler. First activation for the Riddler crew. The little guy with the backpack moves and drops a suspect marker. Then the Riddler plays the resource effect for Riddle Me Softly, where he can put a riddle marker within 4 inches of an active model, which he does. The counter for the suspect marker is 4. Next activation for the League. I move this guy closer to the Riddler crew and closer to an enemy suspect marker, and I drop a suspect marker myself. And now I can score under their noses. which is an objective card where I have to put a suspect marker within 4 range of an enemy suspect marker. It's Riddler's turn again, and the Riddler activates Echo. She moves in this little alley, and she drops a suspect marker, of course with a counter, and this time it's 2. The activation for the assassins. I activate this guy with a bow and move him closer to the Riddler crew, and I will take a shot at Quell, the sidekick of the Riddler. She's in the open. Even with good aim, I only roll 1 die and hit on a 3+, and that hits. So Riddler sidekick gets 2 blood damage. It's Riddler's turn again, and he activates the wounded Quell. She's bipolar, but so she has a negative effect now. The Riddler moves the sidekick closer to the assassins, and the Riddler plays the Riddle of the Night. He uses the resource effect to place a riddle marker within 4 range of an active model, and that will be Quell, so there it is. The assassins activate this ninja guy. He moves, jumps over the engine hood, lands right there, and he drops a suspect marker right there. It's Riddler's turn again, and he moves one of the guys with the ability to drop a riddle. And since the Riddler played 2 resources this round, he can drop a riddle marker within 4 range of this guy. And to explain what the riddle marker do, practically they force the opponent to reveal Riddler's suspect markers, which will cause some funny things. You will see. It's the assassin's turn again, and I want to bring Goro closer to the enemy, and I try to reveal the Riddler suspect marker with the 6. I do that and reveal it. But now Riddler plays Riddle Me This. He played this card in his turn, and since I revealed a counter with 4, 5 or 6, that means he scores Riddle Me This. I hate Riddler already. So because there's a riddle marker up close, I have to remove them. And now I can reveal an enemy suspect marker. Not I can, I have to. I choose this one. And now Riddler triggers the resource effect Riddle of Nowhere, where he can reduce or increase the value of a numeric counter on a friendly suspect marker, and he reduces the 4 to a 3. I'm not filming this every time, so just for you, the Riddler plays cards face down in his turn almost always. Now it's Riddler's turn again, and my opponent activates the Riddler, and due to the Puzzle Master ability, he drops 2 more suspect markers. The League's turn. Ras al Ghul decides to move right next to Goro, and he drops a suspect marker. Since this is a manipulate action, the Riddler triggers the riddle marker. I have to remove this marker and reveal an enemy suspect marker. This time it's a counter with a 2. And so the Riddler triggers Riddle Me That to score 3 points. Did I say I hate Riddler? Hate him so much. Riddler's activation. This guy moves to here. And he drops a Riddle marker, since he has the drop Riddle ability. Now Riddler plays the resource effect of Riddle of Nowhere, where he can increase or reduce a counter. Now Riddler plays You Activate the Riddle, where an enemy model has to be within 6 inches of 2 friendly suspect markers, and Ras al Ghul is within 6 inches of 2 enemy suspect markers. Now it's time for the assassins. I move this guy closer to the Riddler crew. Since he has no adversity marker, that's it. And Riddler's activation. Riddler moves this little guy with the submachine guns to there. And he drops a suspect marker with a 1 counter. And next, the assassins. I activate this guy without an audacity marker. He just moves, maybe in line of sight to the Riddler crew. Now the Riddler's activation. It's this girl with the machine gun. She moves next to her twin or rival, and she drops a suspect marker with a 5. Now the assassins again, I play multiple threats. So now at the start of my activation, I put counters on every of my suspect markers, and at the end of the round I roll a d6, and if I roll one of the counters, I score this card. At the moment I have 3 suspect markers. On to my activation, I activate this guy that was hidden. He drops a suspect marker, but there is a Riddle marker up close, so it will be removed. I have to reveal an enemy suspect marker anywhere. I choose this one and it gets removed. And I think you already know the Riddler plays riddles everywhere and scores 2 points because 2 riddle markers were on the board. That's kind of sneaky, but it fits the Riddler, I think. And now last activation for this round. Irish moves, and since he's inspired, he gets a free manipulate action and he drops another suspect. So round 1 is over and I try to score multiple threats. I have to roll a 1, 2 or 3 because I have 3 counters. Yes. Then I score Eradicate the Order because I have 4 suspect markers. My opponent has only 3. I also score Do Not Deviate from the Plan because the Riddler didn't reveal any of my suspect markers this round. And now Riddler scores Riddle Me Softly because he has 3 suspect markers with an odd value number. So after this, the score is 12 to 10 for the Riddler. Wide chart of the situation. The league gets closer to the Riddler gang, so I think next round will be some damage or some killing. Let's roll for initiative. I have a pass marker not spent, so I get +2 for the initiative roll, which is a 4, and Riddler gets +1, also a 4, but now it's my initiative. So now the Riddler rolls for the flames in Gotham, 2d6, so 12 inches, and he moves the flames to this spot. Now, at the end of phase 1, the assassins play from the shadows. Now I can target an enemy model, and if I kill it, if it's the first model I kill this round, I score this card and I declare the poor sidekick as my target. Now it's time for the killing. I activate this ninja with a katana. I attack Quell, but before that he tries to use feint. He also spends one effort to reduce the willpower roll. She rolls willpower 5 and she succeeds, so no feint. Now for the attack. Quell spends 3 effort to defend. I spend 2 effort for attacking. I hit on 3s. Rerollable due to sharp and handy, so that's 2 attacks, 2 hits. 2 hits, 4 blood damage, that's enough to kill her. Mission completed, 2 victory points. Now it's the Riddler's activation, and he activates this girl with a machine gun. Since this is an explosive weapon, she targets Goro, but Ras al Ghul will also be in the area of effect. So he rolls a 5 that wounds Goro, does 2 blood damage. And now we did the rules error. We didn't quite figure out how explosive templates work with multiple rates of fire. And here we rolled 2 dice against Ras al Ghul instead of just 1. And both wound, so there should have been just 2 wounds. After that, she uses her persuasive special action to force this ninja with a bow to act next. So in my next activation, I have to use this guy with a bow, jump over the engine hood, and since he was inspired from Ras al Ghul, he drops a suspect marker. Next activation, the Riddler crew activates the other woman, the close combat woman, and with impaired movement jumps over the trash container and attacks this guy. I can only spend 1 effort for defending, and the attacker spends nothing on attacking. She has to roll 4s or higher. It's just 1 hit, and I defend against 4s and successful. Now it's back to the league, and now it's time for the next attack. I activate Goro, move in all over there to the submachine guy and attack him. He spends 3 efforts for defending. I spend 2 efforts for attacking. I have to roll 3s, and I have 2 strength dice because I have a devastating weapon. Everything hits but 1. Due to duelist, I can reroll this, and it hits also. The attacker defends against a 4, but it's not enough, and Goro slays his victim. Since Goro is inspired, he uses a free manipulate action to reveal this enemy suspect marker. Riddler triggered Riddle Me That and scores 3 points. And he also plays the resource of Easy Riddle, where he can place a suspect marker in contact with an enemy suspect marker now, which he does. Now it's Riddler's activation, and he activates this little guy with the brass knuckles, moves in right in front of Ras al Ghul in contact to the enemy suspect marker. He reveals it, and he scores Easy Riddle. What an insult! Now Riddler plays the resource effect of the Riddle of the Night and can place 1 Riddle marker. This insult will not be tolerated. I activate Ras and attack this guy. The poor little fella tries to defend with 3. I attack with 3 effort. I hit on 3. I can reroll the strength die because of the sharp rule. 3 hits so far, 4 hits. And the guy defends against the 5, just 1, so enough blood damage to kill. And I can score the Lazarus Pit because I inflicted a casualty and killed a model that is more than 8 inches away from any other enemy model. Riddler's turn again. This little guy, he drops a suspect marker with a counter, and since Riddler played 2 resource cards, he can now also drop another Riddle marker. Right there. The turn for the assassins. I move this guy, he spends an audacity marker. He moves with impaired movement, climbs onto the roof of this diner, and he deploys a suspect marker. And since this suspect marker is within 6 inches of another 2 suspect markers I score, we cannot be defeated. Riddler uses one of his passes, and it's the turn for the assassins again. I play From the Shadows, where I can teleport a model within 4 inches of a friendly suspect marker. And I use this guy to teleport to another of my own suspect markers. Now it's Riddler's turn again. He moves in contact with Goro. My opponent forgot that my guys have martial arts, so outnumbering doesn't work. Next, it's my activation and I play multiple threats again. So this time I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counters. And I move this guy with the knives closer to where the battle starts. And I also score We Cannot Be Defeated again, because I have 3 suspects within 6 inches of each other. Now it's time to get personal. Riddler moves Irish in contact with Goro and attacks. I decide to spend 1 effort for defending. Irish spends 3 effort for attacking. He needs to roll 3s and scores 3 hits. But he has handy, so he can re-roll the the failed dice, and everything hits. I defend with 4s and just 1, so that means 5 blood and 5 stun damage. He's a casualty. Only 1 activation left for the Riddler. He activates the Riddler, moves him, and uses Puzzle Master to drop 2 new suspect markers with these counters. So that's it for round 2. Now I can roll for multiple threats. 1 to 5 will score me, and yes, that's a success. So at the end of round 2, the score is 17 to 21. Now into round 3, initiative. I roll a 7 and my opponent rolls less, so I win. Now the fire moves 9 inches to there. At the end of phase 1, I play From the Shadows again. I have to declare a target which I have to kill. It's not the big one, it's the small guy right next to Riddler. So starting with my first activation, I move Ras al Ghul right next to this guy. He will do the job himself. The defender spends 3 effort, Ras al Ghul spends 2 effort, and Ras needs to hit on 3s with 1 less die because he's arrogant. But Ras scores a critical hit with a strength die, which means it's a deadly strike which outright kills the poor fella. The job is done, and so I can score From the Shadows for 2 points. That's how we do it when you lead an assassin cult. The Riddler passes, so it's me again. I activate this guy. I move him to there and I drop a suspect marker. And now, because it's within 4 inches of an enemy suspect marker, I can score under their noses. But since there's a riddle marker nearby, I have to reveal an enemy suspect marker. I choose this one and remove the Riddle marker. And you guessed it right, Riddler scores. Riddle me that, because I removed a suspect marker with a 3. And additionally, Riddler uses one of his abilities to move a suspect marker. Now it's back to the Riddler crew. The Riddler activates this girl and deploys a suspect marker. Now she uses her special ability, Persuasive, to force this guy to act next. My activation, I have to activate him, and I move him in contact with the girl with the light machine gun. She defends with 3 effort, I attack with 3 effort. I need force to hit and 5 with a strength die, which is nothing. I can reroll due to sharp, but no. Back to the Riddler crew. The Riddler activates Irish to beat Ras al Ghul into a pulp. Ras spends 1 die for defending, 2 for attacking. And look at this roll. Every single hit hits on a 5. That's ridiculous. I try to keep Ras alive. I defend against 4. So that's not enough. 5 stun and 5 blood for Ras. Since he is already wounded, he is out. I will not tolerate this. But that does not stop the assassins. I activate this guy. He moves and he drops a suspect marker so that I can score under their noses. But since there's a Riddle marker nearby, I have to reveal an enemy suspect marker. I choose this one. I remove the Riddle marker. And my opponent scores Echo and Carry for 3 points. Now the Riddler plays Riddle of Nowhere, the resource effect, and he can increase or decrease a counter of his own. Back to Riddler. He activates this girl. She moves into contact. She uses her ability to remove an enemy suspect marker, and Riddler scores Query and Echo for 3 points. Now for the attack, she spends 1. I cannot spend any effort to defend. She has to roll 4s with the attack dice and 5s with the strength die. It's 1 hit. And I defend successfully. Now back to the assassins. Without their leader, they are not much about killing anymore. They play for the mission. I move this guy to there, and then I drop a suspect marker. After that, the Riddler plays the objective. You activate the Riddle. Now he removes 2 friendly suspect markers within 6 inch of the same enemy model. And it's this and this marker. Now Riddler plays the resource effect of Diversion Tactic, and he can now move an enemy model 6 inch toward a friendly marker. He chooses this guy and moves him 6 inches closer toward one of his own markers. Now Riddler activates this little guy with a backpack. He moves him in contact with one of my suspect markers and tries to reveal it. But I play the resource effect of Do Not Deviate from the plan to cancel that. But since this guy was inspired, he uses his free manipulate action to drop a suspect marker. At the beginning of my activation, I play multiple threats, and this time I have 6 suspect markers. So this card will score definitely at the end of the round. And for my activation, I activate this guy on the roof of the diner. He's not in line of sight to the little guy because of the stealth rule, so he just moves in line of sight. For the last activation this round, the Riddler activates and moves and uses his Puzzle Master ability to drop 2 new suspect markers. And that's it for round 3. At the end of the round, I score multiple threats for 3 points and eradicate the order twice. Riddler scores nothing. And after round 3, the score is 36 to 28 for the assassins. Since we both depleted our decks almost, the maximum points that the Riddler crew can possibly score at this point in the game is 4. So my opponent calls it at this point and the victory goes to the League of Assassins. Even without their master, the League wins and scored almost every card I could score. But still, it was a close game. The Riddler mechanic is really nice and works good in my opinion. Its main purpose is to force your opponent to think twice about doing manipulate actions with a Riddle marker nearby and has some neat control effects. I think the Riddler crew should have put more focus on revealing more suspect markers of the League, because that scored me a bunch of points. Overall, I like the gameplay mechanic of the League. Most cards have good synergies with your crew, and the League is very much straightforward and does a lot of blood damage. Of course, we did some rules errors. We tried to keep them as rare as possible, but this game is rather complex and rules errors will happen. What do you think about the Riddler crew and their cards? Do you have some tactic tips for us? Please let me know. I'm curious about your experience with the new cards. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And we will see us next time when there is still a shadow over Gotham.